Good morning, and welcome to the Hatha Yoga Center. All levels, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. yoga. And I'm Chris. I'll be subbing for Key today while she's off visiting her parents. And I'll just kind of do a little bit of breathing while I wait and see if anybody shows up to the live stream and has any requests for practice today. This is the first time I've talked today, so my voice might take a minute to get moving. So find a place where you can sit comfortably on the floor, perhaps on a cushion or a block, or maybe even up on a chair. And let's just do a little bit of breathing before we get going. So immediately just kind of drop into your seat and feel the heaviness of your seat. And hi, Mary Lou. I'm just going to do some breathing and then see if anybody has any requests, if anybody shows up with any requests. So I'm sitting up on a block on the floor, maybe rolling the shoulders up and back a couple times, gently, feeling the movement of the shoulder blades. And you might even draw the shoulders up and kind of squeeze into the neck a little bit. Just getting some blood in there. And then release and find your long spine. And then maybe without changing anything or manipulating your breath at all, just noticing your breath right now. Feeling it. And then maybe beginning to lengthen or deepen the breath, making it a little bit more even between the inhale and exhale. Feeling the breath all the way around the rib cage, so you might start to be more aware of it in the sides of the rib cage, in the back. Feeling the expansion and contraction that occurs with your rib cage and your lungs as you're breathing. And then maybe your hands could be palms down. And just take a couple more conscious breaths like this. If closing your eyes is helpful, you could do that, or you could find a soft gaze. Noticing how, as you breathe, your body stays kind of in the same position vertically. So there's not like a shrinking with the breath. The crown of your head stays lifted. Hang on one sec. Sorry about that. We got Miss MJ here, and I locked the door on her. And then you might start to just circle around in your seat. So feeling your sit bones, just allowing your spine to start moving with the breath. And letting the head just kind of be along for the ride. Try to have kind of a relaxed quality about the circling. And then maybe switch directions. And you're kind of balancing as you come over to one side. Gently starting to wake up your core. You might draw the belly back and in as you come back and let it go as you come forward. So maybe exhaling as you come back like a cat-cow. Inhaling as you come forward and your belly expands a bit. And then just coming back to center. And I'm just going to say one more time, if you have any requests for practice today, please feel free to let me know. Hi, Steve. I'm going to start on hands and knees. I'm going to go back to my mat, and I don't think I see anything there. But let me know. I'll come back and check in a minute. So come to hands and knees. And spread your hands. And just do a little bit of like movement back and forth, side to side. You could bring your hips back and forward as far as it feels good for your wrists. Really spread your hands and just kind of feeling into the palms of your hands and your wrists. And then maybe make fists and just press into your fists. Breathing. And maybe turning the hands backwards. So just kind of preparing our wrists a little bit, stretching into them before we start putting a lot of weight into our wrists. And you could rock a little bit here, coming into the sides of your hands and into the deeper flexion if that feels okay, or extension. And then you can turn them this way and put a little weight, or I prefer to do it like this. It's too much weight into my wrist to do it that way, but stretching them in the opposite direction, drawing your fingertips towards your forearm. So this is actually flexion, and this is extension. We always think flexing. So just breathing. And then shake your hands out, just shake them. Feels good to do that. And then come back to your hands and knees again. And just start to explore some movement with your hips. We'll just slowly warm up. So moving around in circles, you can make the circles as big or as small as you like. If you feel anything interesting as you're going and you want to pause, of course you can do that. It's your own movement. Maybe the head goes to one direction and the hips go in the opposite. You might switch the direction of the circling. And just a couple more times around. And then you might even come forward. In fact, let's do that. Let's do a few cat-cows first. So round your spine, let your head drop. And then arch your back. You might inhale, let your belly relax. Draw the belly in and round. Inhale, let the belly drop. You could let the belly relax, or you can also feel like this kind of lengthened contraction of your belly. And then just coming back to tabletop. You might walk your knees back just a little bit for this. Now, round your spine and bring your hips back towards the heels. They don't have to come all the way back, but maybe they can. And then round as you come forward and begin to arch your back, and maybe you can drop the hips a bit coming into this variation of cobra. And then round as you come back, so just moving through that flow as fast as you like. Inhale perhaps as you come up. Exhale as you draw back. You can switch that as well. Just flowing, waking up our bodies this fine Saturday morning. And one more time through. And maybe as you come forward, you could pause for a moment in your cobra. You could even lift your thighs up and energize your legs. That's an upward dog, upward facing dog. And then release that. And tuck your toes, draw your hips back, and just bring some weight into the bottoms of the feet. Maybe rocking a little bit back and forth. And then lifting up to downward dog, wrap your elbows in, slide your shoulders, bring some weight back and up, lifting your tail. And you might, for a moment, just press into one heel and the other. Finding the breath here, letting it be comfortable and deeper. And then from there, go ahead and you might have to bend your knees a lot as you do this. Walk your hands back to your feet, coming into a forward bend. So find your long spine here, but you could let your head and neck kind of relax for a moment. Just maybe a little shaking or nodding. And then we're going to intentionally round our back. So bend your knees quite a bit and use your trunk muscles to help you roll up, and your strong legs pressing into your feet. Your head's the last thing to come up. And just pause. Here you are in your standing mountain pose. Lately I've been just turning my hands open. This is called a Brugger's maneuver. It's a fancy name for turning your hands forward. And then go ahead and come forward again, starting with the chin tucking really intentionally. So engaging in your core as you round forward, coming all the way down. And then walk your hands out into downward dog. So the knees can be bent while you do this. Finding your downward facing dog again. Maybe the knees are bent a lot. Taking a couple breaths. Maybe moving the hips from side to side a little. And then let's do that one more time. Just walking your hands back. Keeping the knees bent, coming into your forward bend. Just taking it easy here. You can bend the knees quite a bit. Let's time this time, let's keep a long neutral spine, so hinging forward at the hips, and let's come up like that. This time sweep your arms out to the sides and reach up, spread your hands. Grounding down through your sacrum, lifting up through the front of your body, through the crown of your head. Find your breath here. Find your Ujjayi breathing, perhaps. And then just bring your arms down by your sides. And let's do a little arm swing. So just beginning to feel a little warmer, perhaps. A little warmed up. When you do this, you can turn to look behind you. You can lift a foot, or you can just keep your body still and let your arms swing. And then let's come to the front of the mat. I'm right in front of a mirror which has a split in it, which is very disconcerting. Splitting me in half. So finding your feet on the floor, kind of building your pose from the ground up. So spread the toes. Feel how your body is the weight of your body is distributed over the soles of the feet. And then lift your heels up. Try coming straight up onto the balls of the feet. And back down. Noticing if you have any tendency, like I do, my tendency is to go to the outside of the balls of my feet. So see if you can press into an even, it's hard. And come down. And then you might come up and down a couple times, just easy, lift the heels. And then again, finding your feet. Now feel evenness. And sweep the arms up. You might bring them out, gathering up some air slowly, reaching up. Can you lift your heels here? And then bring them back down. And exhale, come forward into your forward bend. Long spine. And you might have your knees bent quite a bit. You can move a little bit. Just taking a couple of breaths in your forward bend, starting to feel the backs of the legs a little more comfortable in your forward bend. Feeling the breath. And then we'll step the left foot back, bring the knee down. And actually, let's start in a lower lunge today. So maybe you're stepping your right foot forward a little bit. If you need blocks or something under the hands, you can always do that. But you could also just come to fingertips or have your hands on your knee if it's hard to avoid grounding. Or you can kind of feel how the right side of your torso is pressing into your inner thigh. And the head and shoulders stay lifted, breathing. And then maybe bring the weight back and up over the left knee. And you could try lifting your foot, just noticing. And then hips stay square, let your arms float up, reaching up. Finding your gaze, finding your breath, letting it be steady. And then sweeping your arms down and stepping back to downward facing dog. So paying some attention to the transitions between your poses. And here you might take your right foot up and step it back over the left foot, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor, lifting your right hip. Really reach through the right hand, wrap the elbow in. Just feeling length in the right side of your body. And then stepping back through center and stepping your left foot up and over the right. Lifting the left hip, reaching through the left hand. And then back to center and pause. And then we'll come forward into plank, keeping your head lifted as you come forward. And taking a breath or two here. Long neutral spine. Maybe with the knees down this time, come onto your belly, all the way down onto the belly. And keeping the tops of your feet on the floor, reach your arms back and clasp your hands. And you could roll from side to side without rolling all the way over yet. Just rolling the upper body, turning your head, and then maybe the next time you come to the left, rolling onto your side, if you like that. Feeling your right shoulder blade, kind of drawing down the back, breathing, and then back onto the belly and over to the right. Nice deep breath. And back onto your belly. And then you might lift your toes. Maybe the back of your hands are lifting off your back. Gaze is diagonal ahead of you. Your neck stays neutral, breathing. And then release. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your elbows in, and press back to downward facing dog. And you might want to take another variation in down dog here, maybe reaching your right hand back to your left lower leg or ankle. If that feels okay for your body, really press through your left hand and wrap the elbow in so the shoulder blade can move. Then bring your right hand down, reach your left hand back for the shin or for your ankle. Really press through the right hand and wrap it in, reaching. Shoulder blade slides, reaching your left hand forward. And then we'll step left foot forward, we'll step it pretty far forward and we'll come into this variation of the low lunge where the left side of our torso is right up alongside the inner left thigh. So just a little pressure there. Breathing, keeping the head and shoulders lifting. Again, you might have blocks, or like me, you might be up on your fingertips. If that's not really accessible to you without rounding, just come up onto your knee. And then draw the hips back and up over the right knee. And you could try lifting your left foot. And then the arms can come up, reaching up. Lifting your gaze. Nice steady breath. And one more breath. And then try stepping forward. Do that consciously into your forward bend. You might clasp hands at your sacrum here. Keep your head and shoulders lifted. Maybe the arms come up and over. You could even turn a little like we did in the locust pose from side to side. And release your hands. And then let's sweep the arms out again. Slowly reaching up. Go really slow. And then grounding yourself, lifting, spreading hands. Hands come together at the heart. And just pause for a moment. And while you're pausing, you might do the arm swing. I'm just going to make sure that nobody has any requests for this morning. And I see nothing. So you get what I give you, I guess. Which is fine, because I know mostly what you guys like. I think, after all these years. So So again, let's flow. Raise the arms up. Breathing. Exhale, come forward. Coming into your forward bend again. And just kind of keep the neck nice and easy. You know, some engagement is required to hold up your head, but we don't need to have any additional gripping or tensing. So just be conscious of it. And then we'll lift the right foot up, bend the knee, and step that foot back. Coming up into Warrior One, your hips are square, bending into your right knee so that your pelvis can stay perpendicular. And if you want a little more, you could straighten your legs and bend the knee, coming down as deep as you want to, and back up. Helps to engage in your right glutes a little as you do this, as you come up to stabilize. Strengthening the legs one more time, and then back into the pose. And let's take a little twist. Bring your hand just down to the floor or to a block, opening up, kind of turning your right heel in, lifting a little under the right thigh, opening the chest. And then sweeping the left arm down. Step back to downward facing dog. Just going to turn on the fan here. And moving a little bit in your dog. You can always come to prayer if you need a break. As you know. Oops, a little too much air. There we go. And then let's exhale, come forward into plank pose, keeping the head lifted. And if you want more, you could lift one of your feet up, keeping the hips level, and the other. And then coming down halfway at most, into stick and up into either this upward kind of higher version of cobra, or you could just come into your Sphinx pose. Both are good. Both are beneficial. Both could be hard. So picking your pose and taking a couple of breaths. And wherever you are, lift the belly and let your chest be open. Crown of the head lifting. And just another breath. And then press back to downward dog, keeping the elbows tucked in. And lifting hips. You could try lifting your right leg straight up, keeping the hips square. And then maybe open your hips, stacking the hip and bend the right knee. Stretching into the front of your right hip and belly, and then straighten that leg back up. Let it come down, and lift the left leg. And then stack your hips, bend your left knee, and straighten that leg back up. And then we're going to step the right leg forward. Coming up into Warrior One. So back knee is bent. And then you might try to straighten and bend. Feet are hip width. If they're too narrow, this will be really hard. You could try it, but much more tippy. Again, feeling for a little engagement in the left glutes as you come up to help stabilize. And then just come back into the pose for a moment, take a breath. And then we'll bring left hand down just to the floor, a block, opening up into the twist. Feeling this right hip is drawing back, even as your knee is reaching forward. A little lift under the left thigh. Steady breath. And just thinking about how you're going to transition from here to your forward bend. So stepping reaching your arm around, and then maybe you step forward without your hands. Using your core, coming into your forward bend. You might look down at your feet. Just notice what they're doing. Spread the toes. And then sweep the arms up, straight ahead of you, up, reaching, and lengthening up. And then hands together at your heart. And let's pause here. Just coming back to Tadasana. And I can see MJ in the mirror behind me. And she's doing this, so let's do this. Clasp your hands and press your hands forward to begin with. And then let them come up. You might start to feel some resistance there, so just pause if you do breathe. Maybe come a little higher. Watch the neck, it kind of wants to gather tension, so. And then release and come forward. Maybe the knees are bent quite a bit. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to step the right foot back, and the heel will come down. We're going to come into a position where we can come into warrior two. So the front heel will be kind of aligned with the back arch of the back foot. So sweeping your right arm up and over, and finding the right stance, the right distance between your feet. Bending into your left knee. You might look down and just notice that the knee isn't really wobbling in or out, it's kind of tracking over the center of the foot. And your body is straight up and down, bending deeper, wrapping the left hip open. And then turning to face forward, bring your right elbow on top into eagle arms. Nice deep breath here. Maybe turning a little towards the right to get the stretch a little bit more in the back of the right shoulder. And then unwind your arms again, gazes forward. And then let's flip the left palm open. You could bring your right arm back behind you, coming into a reverse warrior. Maybe the gaze is up. And then circling your arms around for extended side angle pose. So feeling your feet really firmly planted, that outer edge of the back foot, the right foot, against the floor. You can bring your hand down further if you like. One more breath here. And then circle the hands down. Let's step back to downward facing dog. And pedal your feet a little. Move the hips a little. Just coming back to some symmetry. And then let's come forward into plank. And just for fun, you can try lifting one hand. It's challenging. You have to bring the weight over, say, to the left. Then you can lift right, but really engaging in the center of your body. And then coming forward with the elbows bent by your sides, maybe into this upward, into this higher cobra pose or upward facing dog, lifting thighs. And then bend the knees, draw the hips back. Just come through prayer for a moment. Breathe into your back. Lengthening the spine. Maybe walking hands over towards the left. Keep drawing the right hip back. Steady breath. And then hands over towards the right. Draw the left hip back. And then back to center. If it feels good, you could let your head roll from side to side, so you're rolling over your forehead. And then come back to center and tuck your toes, and let's lift back up to downward facing dog. And I have to turn this way. We're going to step the right foot forward, turn the back heel down, and windmill the arms up, so coming up into this warrior two pose. Again, so notice if you're forward, just bring your body upright, bending into the right knee, and the gaze could be forward, coming a little deeper, and then maybe wrapping the arms, bringing left elbow on top for eagle arms. Shoulders slide down the back as the elbows and fingertips lift. Maybe a little turn towards your, just towards the back leg. And then unwind your arms. Gaze forward over the middle finger. Turn the palm. And the left arm can come behind you, taking a little reverse warrior pose. And then sweeping the arms up and over for extended side angle. Maybe elbow to the knee. Or coming deeper. Feel into that outer blade of your left foot. All the way up the side of your body through your fingertips. Breathing. There's a sort of opening of the chest and the hip towards the ceiling. And then circle the arms down. And we're going to step forward into a forward bend. So a little bit of thoughtfulness there about your hips as you step forward. And then maybe here in your forward bend, you could bend your knees as much as you need to do this, but you could maybe bring your hands underneath your feet. So it could be with your knees bent quite a bit. Maybe the toes come up the wrists a little. Just kind of massaging into your wrists with your toes and pressing into the palms with the balls of the feet. And then release that. And slowly sweeping the arms up again. Maybe out to the sides, coming slowly, lengthening up. And maybe you could do that clasp of the hands here again. My wedding ring gets in the way. But only in this pose. And then release, bringing the arms back down. And just pause for a moment. Maybe your hands come together. And breathing. Just finding your equal standing pose. So noticing if you're more into one side of your body than the other. Let's come back to down dog. So you could flow back. Raise the arms. Come forward into your forward bend, and this time let's step back. So step one foot at a time, back to downward dog. And let's come into pigeon, so let your right leg lift. And maybe a couple times you could come forward, round, draw the knee towards the forehead, lift the belly, lift the leg back up. And again, rounding. Keep wrapping your elbows in as you do this so the shoulder blades can move. And then the last time, come forward, hover, and come into pigeon with your right knee forward. Just taking your time. Maybe a moment in this upward facing pigeon, a little bit of a back bend. And then maybe slowly coming forward, maybe to your forearms. I'm just taking a few breaths here. I'm going to scooch over off my mat because it's so sticky. And just kind of noticing your tendencies in this pose, which for me include gathering tension in certain parts of my body where it's not really needed, or spacing out and thinking about what I'm going to do this afternoon or something. So just noticing, coming back to your breath, trying to stay with your practice in the moment. having a moment-by-moment experience with yourself. There's nothing wrong with thinking about the future or the past, obviously, but it's good to practice this presence with yourself, to have the ability to bring yourself back to the present moment as needed. And then from here, you could take a twist, which many of you like to put your forearm down and reach back with the right hand for the sacrum. Some like to reach for the foot. I prefer to come up on my hand, so I'm going to come up on my left hand. Notice how the hips, it's easy to sort of disorganize your hips here, leaning to one side or the other. Just paying attention. We're not trying to be perfectly symmetrical or anything like that, but we're just trying to have an awareness of our habits and of what our body is doing. Where is our body in space? Releasing that foot, if you have it, or unwinding. You might try the opposite direction, bring right hand down and reaching back with your left hand. Could be here. Or you might draw the heel in towards the buttock for the quad stretch. Breathing. And releasing that. And then maybe you can move your hips over, lean over to the right a bit and bring your leg forward a little. Maybe the back knee comes forward, so you have two 90-degree angles, and try to sit up. Just exploring it. If it hurts somewhere in a bad way, just back off. And then maybe you could turn a little bit into the twist. You might bring that left knee back towards your right arch of your right foot. So kind of an easy twist, not a lot of torquing in the low back. And then unwinding that, and bring the left foot around further, perhaps to the other side of your right thigh, either with the right leg straight or bent, your choice. So sitting up tall, and finding a few breaths there before we take the twist. You could reach right hand underneath your left inner thigh and twisting. So you're just turning your spine, keeping the shoulders sliding down the back, not jamming them, but you're letting them move naturally. Noticing if you're tipping your head or rounding your head, just keeping the head kind of in a neutral, the neck in a neutral position, which includes a little bit of curve in the back of your neck. And my habit often is to pull myself further into the twist with my head, but I'm trying to be easy with my neck, so I am turning my head, but I'm not yanking myself further. So I'm keeping a little slack, and then turning to face forward. Let's stack the knees, either with your bottom leg bent or straight, so we're coming into steer pose. And there's lots of arm variations that you could take. Lately I've been reaching for elbows. You could also make reverse prayer if that works for your body. And I've noticed that that kind of distracts me from some of the struggle of my hips to be also working with my shoulders. So maybe you're hinging forward a bit, keeping the sit bones reaching back for the floor, so we're not lifting too much. Finding steady breath and a steady gaze. Having the arms back behind you can also help to avoid the rounding, but you can take any arm variation that feels right for you. Sometimes it's nice to rest your hands on the feet. And just another breath there. And then I've been doing this lately. I like this. Lean back, reach your fingertips back, open the chest, and step your right foot forward, bringing that left ankle on top of the right knee. You can move your hips as close to the heel as you want. Try to keep lifting. I like to rock back and forth. Just another breath or two there. And then you can straighten your right leg. Maybe coming into a little bit of a forward bend with the ankle on the knee here. If that is too much, you can always just bring it down to the floor. Flexing your left, both of your feet flexing. We're not trying to strain the knee. If you can reach for that handle, otherwise known as your foot, that's kind of nice. Nice deep breath. And slowly releasing, and then we'll come back with some type of grace to downward dog. Actually, I'm going to take my mat, or not use my mat, actually. So stepping up to down dog. Maybe your feet could get wide and you could just kind of, or your hands, you could move a little bit from side to side. And then walk the feet a little closer, and this time we'll lift left leg up and draw the knee forward, round, exhale, lift the leg back up. Exhale forward, rounding, crunch a little in the belly, lift it up, and then bending it and bringing it forward again, and coming into pigeon on the other side. Starting in this upward facing. Lifting your belly, and then coming forward, just positioning your left knee, your left leg, so that you can feel the stretch in the hip rotators, finding the right slot for your hips. It's funny to think that there's a slot. And it's hard to articulate some things as a yoga teacher. Like, you're always looking for new language. Slot is kind of an amusing word, because it indicates that somewhere in the air there's like the perfect little divot where you can drop into and stay firmly in that position without moving. Which is, of course, not true. Just another breath or two here. And then if you're taking the twist, again, could be with the forearm on the floor, maybe the left hand to the right knee, left hand back to sacrum, or maybe coming up onto your right hand, reaching back for the outer right ankle with your left hand. Again, watching for overzealousness with the neck. So if you're turning to look back, just do it with ease. Lengthening up, opening the chest, and then release that. And maybe the left hand can come down. You can reach back for the right ankle with the right hand. If you want more of a stretch in the front of your belly, you could just pull back into the hand with the ankle, or you could turn your fingertips over, draw the heel in towards the buttocks for more of a quad stretch. Just another breath, and then release it. I'm going to turn to face the camera, and then bring your left foot into more of a 90 degree, and then the back knee, same thing. And then maybe you can twist, or just sit for a moment actually. Notice how much your right hip lifts, it's fine. And then take the twist, you might bring your knee into the sole of your left foot. Just kind of an easy twist, not torquing your low back too much. And then coming back to center and bringing right foot all the way around onto the outside of your left thigh for a seated twist. sitting up tall. And finding your breath before you come into the twist at all. You could bring your left hand underneath the thigh, or you can wrap, either way. And then turning into the twist of your spine. Everything's staying upright as you turn. Again, being mindful of your neck. And just another breath there. And then turning back to face forwards. Stacking your knees. I like to lift my hips up and stack the knees and then bring them back down. And that could be with your left leg straight also. This is a pretty intense stretch. You're not imagining it. Even for people who have a lot of mobility, and it's always intense. Maybe not for contortionists, but coming forward. And then again, you can choose any arm variation that you like. You could clasp your hands behind you and stretch into the shoulders. Just watch the tendency to lift the chin. Just keep it kind of tucked in. Just another breath or two. And then lifting back up slowly. And leaning back, bring your fingertips behind you. Bring your left foot forward, bending your left knee. Right ankle on top of your left knee. You could bring the hips closer to the heels. Sitting up tall. Woo! My hips are so different. My right hip is like quite a bit more sensational in this particular pose. So letting a little rocking happen if that feels good. Rocking can be very soothing to our nervous system. And maybe you're straightening your left leg. If you can keep your ankle on top comfortably, you could sit up tall, maybe reach for your left foot, keeping your long spine. You can also bring the foot onto the inside of your thigh, if that's more comfortable. And just kind of imagining gravity helping to pull your knee gently towards floor. Taking a couple breaths here. And then releasing that. And you can straighten both legs and lean back. Just let your feet flop from side to side, kind of rotating your legs. Letting it go. Yeah, and then you could circle your feet. So moving through flexion and extension, your ankle. And then maybe a little moment of just flexing the feet and going through these two movements, pointing the toes. Moving your toes. Can you move your toes one by one? It's hard. I can move my big toe and my pinky toe, but the middle ones are much harder to move. I wonder if you did that every day, if you would eventually be able to do it. I bet you would. Let's draw the knees in and sit up. Let's come into boat pose. So bringing your hands maybe behind your thighs to begin with and just sitting up tall, and then maybe you can lift the feet, and maybe the feet come up into this variation. You could release your hands. You can also extend legs. Just taking your own comfortable, well, it's a little uncomfortable, but the best position for your body, where you're working but you're not overly straining yourself. Just another breath. And then maybe reaching back for your thighs, letting your knees open, coming into a tortoise kind of rounding position. You could round your back here intentionally, bringing the head towards the soles of the feet, lifting belly, broadening your back like a turtle shell, letting the knees drop open, breathing. And then coming up, let's do one more boat. Draw the knees back together, reaching behind your thighs, coming up onto the sit bones, lifting the legs, again for Navasana, boat pose. Taking whatever variation you like. It's a hard pose, challenging pose. Sometimes it helps to reset yourself in the middle of it, lifting the heart. And then reaching back for the thighs if you're not already, and let's roll back. Maybe you can come into, I have a ponytail I've got to take out here, but maybe you can come into plow. And it could be like a modified plow. If it's hard to get the feet all the way back to the floor, just have them lifted. You could reach back and bring your hands into the back of your pelvis. So it's almost like you're in like a half shoulder stand kind of pose, but not all the way back on the neck and shoulders. If plow is comfortable for you, you could bring the feet over and you could clasp your hands. It's a pretty big flexion of your spine, so be mindful. Supporting your low back and coming into this kind of half shoulder stand sort of pose. And then releasing and just rolling down slowly. Maybe coming up into sort of a modified fish pose, just lifting your chest. So your forearms are on the floor. You can keep your chin tucked, lifting the heart. There's lots of ways to do fish. This is sort of an easy way. It feels good on the shoulders, hopefully. And then roll down, draw the knees in. And rock a little bit side to side. Actually, I'm not quite ready to come down to the floor, so don't get super comfortable. I think what we should do is go to, here we have the bar, of course, or at home you have a wall. I think we should go upside down and do a 90-degree at the wall or the bar. I'll have MJ come and she can do hers on the bar, and I'll do mine on the wall. If you go down just a little, then they can see you better. Yeah, there you go. Just making sure there's no commentary happening. No, okay. So yeah, just take a little stretch. If you're at home on your wall, you can bring your hands onto the wall and do kind of a downward dog type pose on the wall. Or if you have a bar in your home, that would be nice. I need to get one. You could use it to kind of pull yourself back and stretch into your spine, but either way, taking a couple breaths, maybe getting a little length and tractioning of your spine, and then coming up, and we'll turn a leg's length away from the wall or the bar, and we'll walk up the wall to come into a 90-degree position. So spread your hands, wrap your elbows in, and lift up. And come back a little bit. Maybe lifting one leg, pressing up through the heel. Breathing. Then bringing that leg down and lifting the other leg. Still lifting, even though you're lifting your left leg, still lifting up through the right hip as well. Coming down when you're ready. And maybe coming into prayer. Taking a couple breaths. And then if you want to do a handstand at home, if you have a place like a wall where you can do that, or someone who can support you, I'll help MJ if she wants. You're a little close to the wall. Yeah, there you go. Just don't want you to bang your heel. And she's nice and upright there. Awesome. So good, MJ. Maybe reaching up, flex your feet, see if that helps to knock you out of it. And you might want to just take a little moment. And I'm going to just do one on the wall real quick. Don't forget to breathe. Hopefully you have a spot in your house where you can do that if you want to. And then we'll just come back out to our spot. And come back onto our back again. Let's do a little bit of core work. So draw the knees in, just rocking side to side. Bringing your, if you did go upside down, you can be a little excited and sometimes a little breathless, so just finding your breath. Actually, let's do it first. Let's do a hamstring stretch. So if you use a strap for that, you could grab your strap or your belt or whatever you have at home. So we'll start with left leg up, bringing the strap underneath the sole of the foot. This just is nice because it allows the arms and shoulders to be more relaxed. But some of you may be able to reach for your foot. So you might have your left knee bent to begin with. And you're just flexing through your right ankle, through the foot, drawing the toes back towards the shin. So really deep stretch of the back of your right leg. Feeling the breath. So your back is against the floor so you can really feel the back of the rib cage as it moves. And then taking the strap into your right hand or your foot into your right hand and letting your left knee perhaps drop towards the left and your right foot goes towards the right. You might extend your left arm. So you have a little counterbalance there. You can also straighten your left leg. It's a little more work for your core to keep the sacrum down. So feeling that stretch in the inner left thigh and groin muscles. Feeling it where you feel it. Just another breath. And then bringing it back up and extending the left leg. And then taking strap it or onto the into the left hand or bringing the outer edge of your left foot, bringing your left hand around the outer edge of your left foot. And just let that foot, that's your right foot, I'm sorry. Letting your right foot come over towards the left without lifting sacrum off the floor. So you're feeling that in the outer part of your thigh and even into the lower leg. So kind of the IT band. You could take your thumb into the hip crease as you as you draw the foot over further. And then eventually letting your hips lift and coming into the twist. And totally up to you how far over that foot comes. You might want to keep your shoulders on the floor, in which case maybe the foot doesn't come all the way to the floor easily. So breathing, trying to, even though you're compressing into the front of the right hip, there's a sense that the hip's drawing down so there can be a little space there. So it's not pinching. Nice deep breath. And then slowly bringing it back up. And then bring both feet in to the strap for a moment. Feels kind of good. You could just take a quick little rest. And then bend your right knee. And work with your left leg Again, flexing through the heel, drawing toes back towards the shin, really brightening the stretch all the way up the back of your left leg. Sacrum staying down on the floor. If it causes you to roll your tailbone and lower back up, just press it back down and take some of that. Just let your leg come back. We're not in a race to get our foot towards our face or anything like that. We're trying to convince our nervous system that it's safe to do this so that we can gain some mobility. And if it's not safe, then we stop breathing or we start holding the breath because we know that we might injure ourselves. It's not producing any good results. It's just causing tension. So better to back off and really breathe with it, letting your body know it's good, letting your brain know it's safe. We're working in yoga with our nervous system just as much as we're working with our muscles and it's all interconnected obviously, but sometimes we think we're just pulling on a muscle, we're pulling it and lengthening it, but that's only a little bit of what's happening. Then you could let your right knee drop over towards the right, bringing the strap into your left hand and taking that inner thigh stretch as you bring your left foot over towards the left. Maybe the right arm comes over towards the right for counterbalance. Try to relax your back, and pressing through the heel. You can also extend your right leg if you prefer. And then bringing that leg back up, taking the strap into your right hand, left arm comes out to the side, and you're going slowly, keeping sacrum down as you bring the foot over, so there's a big, interesting stretch here on your outer thigh, maybe thumb drawing the hip down, breathing, and then extending the left arm again and coming all the way over. You could look back over your left shoulder. You're in a twist now. Keep drawing this left hip down. Nice steady breath. And slowly coming back to center and releasing that. You can set your strap off to the side. Draw the knees in. Rocking side to side. And then let's bring the legs up. And let's exhale so pressing tailbone down towards the floor. Let's inhale the left heel towards the floor. And then as you hover your heel above the floor, come into the twist again, this time without the strap. The right foot doesn't come all the way down to the floor. So keeping left foot hovering above the floor. Breathing, maybe the shoulders stay down. And then maybe you bend your knees to come out, or maybe you come out the way you came in and draw the knees in briefly. And then bring legs up. This time we'll inhale right heel towards the floor and come into the twist. Keeping your right leg hovering. Probably your left leg is hovering too, so you're not coming all the way down. Maybe looking back over left shoulder, feeling the twist and the strength that's required to hold the legs away from the floor. And then drawing knees in again, coming back. And then we'll just do a few core exercises before we bring it down further. So bring your feet up, turn your toes out, heels together. And let's do one leg at a time to begin with, keeping your tailbone pressing towards the floor. Inhale, right heel down, exhale, back up. Inhale, left heel towards the floor, hover, press tailbone down, exhale, back up. And you might do that again, or you might start to bring both heels together and work with both legs. Your choice. So probably inhaling down, pressing tailbone down, and exhaling back up. A couple more times. And maybe the next time that your heels come towards the floor, you could hover them and lift the back of your skull off the floor just a little bit. And then release. Draw your knees in, rocking side to side. And just one more easy one for the core. Easy in the sense of not a lot of setup here. So bring your feet up. It might not feel easy. And your legs are moving towards straight. If you can keep them straight. You might have a little bend in the knees if you need to. Sacrum stays on the floor. So you're just going to go back and forth from side to side. One foot slides down the inner leg of the other leg. And you're moving really consciously. So you are steering your legs with your muscles of your core. There's not much momentum at all. So putting the brakes on, using your belly muscles. A couple more times back and forth. Hopefully you're feeling it in your belly. And then draw the knees in again. And maybe you could come into bridge a couple times, coming up and down into bridge. I would just roll up and down a couple times, and then hold it. If you want to come into a full back bend, you could also transition up into a full back bend here, or just stay in bridge, either one. Stretching the belly, and coming out when you're ready. Onto your back, drawing knees in, and rocking. Maybe coming into happy baby pose, feels good after back bending. I like to rock, it feels good on my back. And then bring your feet wide, probably the width of the mat or a little wider. Arms out to the sides, let the knees go side to side. Go real slow. Next time they come towards the left, just pause. You could bring your left ankle on top of your right knee if that feels good, deer pose. Feeling that nice stretch along the right side of your torso and your hip. If it feels ever like too much to put your ankle on top of your knee, if that hurts your knee, don't do it. It's completely unnecessary if it hurts the knee. Only if it feels good. And then bring feet back, knees back to center and over towards the right, maybe picking up your right ankle, putting it on top of the left knee if that feels good. You can really feel the breath here, especially in the left side of your rib cage. Expanding. And releasing that. And coming back to center, draw the knees in one more time. You could maybe bring your feet soles together like in a cobbler's pose. And then maybe coming into a reclined cobbler bend angle. And letting your arms maybe come up over the head in some configuration that feels good. Just taking a couple breaths there. Letting your body weight just really settle back towards the floor. Letting yourself be heavy. Feeling the breath. And then probably probably extending the legs and arms, bringing the backs of the hands to the floor. I'm going to come to a seat, but just come into your Shavasana, into your final resting pose. And let yourself be heavy. Releasing the full weight of your body to the floor. And just taking a few moments here, feeling some sense of softness in the front of your body, softness in the jaw, letting the skin of your face just kind of relax and drape over your face, your eyelids, soft over the eyeballs. Feeling the heaviness of your head. You can feel your tongue softening all the way back into your throat. The insides of your cheeks soft. Your lips. All of this tissue in the front of the chin and throat and chest is softening around the collarbones. And then just take a couple more breaths, just feeling the effects of your practice today. Feeling the natural breath that's coming in and out through your nose. And taking this relaxed sensation in your body as you come back to a seated position to close. And coming to your seat. I've been, during this pandemic time, I've been working with two different women who are in prison remotely doing yoga. And one of the, they're both in a mental health unit right now, so both struggling. But one of the things that I've been doing is this kind of just bringing your hands up onto your arms and rubbing down your arms like this. It's really soothing. And, during these times, we don't get touched as much, perhaps, as we might normally because we don't get to hug people, or maybe we're not going for massage or other kinds of services that we normally would. So self-massage is a valid thing. This is just more of a soothing thing. It's actually it has a name. It's called havening. So you might try it a little bit, just rubbing down your arms. And you might, as you're doing this, you might even have a mantra like saying to yourself, I'm safe. And you can do that if you're starting to feel panicky or stressed or anxious. And then just bring your hands down onto your thighs. Take a breath into the safety of your own body, bringing your hands together at your heart. You could bow your head to your own inner teacher, to your own practice, to your higher self or your higher power. Namaste. So nice to see you. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you again soon.